and first of all, welcome to Turin, who is here for maybe the first time or the second time, and who doesn't live in Turin. And thank you for Città Garden that is hosting us tonight, and thank you to ILO ETF for the wonderful work that we're doing together. Actually, just a few words, because I think you all know much more than I do on innovation, and and the mayor, as you know, takes care of many issues. But I wanted to be here because I wanted to tell you a bit more of why actually the city of Turin, and the city of Turin is not only obviously its mayor that can change and changes every 5 years, but the city of Turin is the parts of the city that live in the city, so the companies, the universities, students, and all those people make the city, and why this city, with all its parts, is so strongly challenging and facing innovation. I will say just 3 reasons that are probably the most important ones from our point of view, from my point of view, personal point of view. The first thing is that we all know, you know better than me, that innovation is coming through, and it's really, really, really quick. And it's really, really, really strong. And it's very difficult for us. I mean, we were talking before about, you were joking and saying the fact that Facebook today is probably old. And you were talking about the intergenerational mentoring. Okay, I mean, it's not only between maybe one that is 30 years old and one that is 60 years old. It's between also a difference of 5 years old age. So I'm 35. When I talk to someone that is 25, I already feel the difference because it's going so fast that lifelong learning and obviously comes in. So why do we have to face innovation? We could talk for many hours saying that innovation destroys jobs, that innovation creates jobs, and we could discuss for hours of if it creates more jobs than it destroys. But I think this is a wrong approach. We know it's happening, it will happen, we have to transform a risk in opportunity, minimize risks and maximize opportunities. And this is why our city, with its ecosystem, is strongly engaged in facing this challenge, and it must do it very, very quickly, possibly yesterday. The second reason is that cities make the difference. And cities makes the difference and will make even more the difference, not only because we have the responsibility, social, moral, economic responsibility, for example, of the sustainable goals, but also because we predict that by 2030, 70% of the people will live in an urban context, will live in the cities. So the cities must make the difference in creating the ecosystem to approach innovation and maximize the opportunities and minimize the risks. And the third reason is that the ecosystem, and you all talked about it, and the relations, the interconnections, are built within the urban contexts. So the cities are not only interesting for the public part, but also interesting for the private part. So we developed this policy that is called TorinoSkills City, that is based on the fact that, first of all, public and private, as you also said, must work together. Today, the public administration does not have the capacity to develop innovation. We will never have it. But we have the capacity to, let's say, challenge innovation and make, for example, a private company come into a city, test our technology, and with the public part, challenge the technology, understand how it can improve the quality of life of the people, and minimize the risks. Maybe working, for example, on welfare policies, maybe working, for example, on competences, and maximize the opportunities. So the cities are totally, and have to be totally engaged. And this is the approach that we're trying to use. It's very difficult because, as you were saying, I mean, it's difficult to tackle with the matter of innovation. It's so wide and it touches the life of everyone. And the most difficult thing to do is to build together the material infrastructure and the immaterial infrastructure that is needed to face it. So, for example, when I talk about material infrastructure, I talk about the fact that we need 5G technology to use the autonomous guide van. I don't know if you talked about it, but is today going around in ILO. Only. So we need the physical infrastructure. We need private company that invests in the physical infrastructure to test that technology. And that's the material part. But the most difficult thing to build is the immaterial part. And the immaterial part is exactly what you were talking about. So the council, for example, the lifelong approach to competences and learning. And I will add a piece. and it's what I feel walking around and talking with the people. People still feel innovation is far away and it's a risk. Because unfortunately, when we talk about innovation, and media especially, they always, very often, approach it on the fact that it will take away jobs, robots and all that stuff. And so the immaterial part, which is the cultural part, the fact that a city is ready to face innovation and maximize those opportunities, passes through the fact that there is a different cultural approach. And that passes through the fact that you see that technology can increase the quality of life. And that's the human approach, from my point of view, of innovation. The fact that innovation is not nice to see, it's not interesting to talk about among people that are experts in innovation. I'm not an expert, but and it's interesting, and it will happen, but the fact that it will and it is changing the life of everyone, and it can increase and, let's say, improve the quality of life. If we reach that message, if we have people that understand that it can increase the quality of life and it changes the life in better, then we will also win the cultural approach that today is more on fear, and it's normal. I mean, we all fear something that we don't know. We all fear something that we don't understand what will happen and how it will change our lives. So that's why we always have to keep, from my point of view, material and immaterial approach together. And these projects, and I want to thank you all for, are very, very interesting because they help us to try to build that link. And then you conclude on the fact that I strongly believe that every single person has a responsibility in facing this challenge. We have it as institutions. Every company has it in its own company. Every single person that lives in a community has it. And this big challenge, we can win it in a win-win approach only if we face it all together, with those connections, with that council, with the fact that we all strongly believe in an opportunity and not a threat. It's not easy, but I think that elements such as today, organizing events such as today, and I want to thank everybody that helped in organizing these 3 days, and thanks to you that wanted to sit here 3 days and work on this, can make the difference. And so we will obviously collect the solutions that have been today explained, and we'll try to implement them in our city with the objective of creating that cultural, material and immaterial infrastructure that we all strongly need, cities and I think also national level and probably international level. So thank you very much. It was very interesting to hear about this. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Janina. I will invite you in stage to be